Welcome to New Release Review, part of the Movie Friends podcast. My name is Seth, and joining me today is the host of the YouTube channel Sparky About Movies, Shauna. We're going to be giving our fresh from the theaters thoughts on the 2023 film No Hard Feelings, directed by Gene Stupnitsky, starring Jennifer Lawrence. We will be discussing spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film yet, please be aware. Shauna, how are you?
Hi Seth, I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's a cold, rainy morning in June. I feel like I'm in merry old England.
Yes, yes, that is a typical British weather.
Yeah, I mean I love it personally. If it could be gray and slightly chilly every day, I would be very happy.
Hmm, it's better,
But
it's
we're not
cozy.
here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about a
Well,
movie.
yes,
So, you had actually reached out to me and said that you saw the movie. What did you think?
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was kind of a breath of fresh air because we don't really get enough raunchy comedies like this anymore. It felt a lot like early 2000s, kind of like Not Another Teen Movie meets The Girl Next Door. I thought it was just awkward, charming, and really entertaining.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't really know what to think too much going into it. I'm a fan of Jennifer Lawrence for sure. I'm glad to see her kind of maybe coming back in a little, slightly,
Yeah,
she was on such a hot streak for such a long time, and then Darren Aronofsky's Mother happened, and it kind of seemed to aid in the downtrend of her career.
yeah, yeah.
But I thought she was great in this movie. She's really funny. All the parts that are more emotional and hard hitting, I think her and the young actor, uh, hold on,
Andrew
should have,
Feldman.
yeah, he's one of those three name guys.
Yeah,
Andrew Barth Feldman. I thought that
that
they
guy.
sold both tones really, really well. And I really enjoyed it. I was, laughing in the movie theater, which, what else could you ask for? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
the movie's definitely getting some kickback from people who are not happy about like the age gap and the whole idea of, this woman trying to seduce this young kid and he's kind of like pushing
Parents
off her
selling their son.
advances. Right, exactly. And Jennifer Lawrence kind of, answered that and she said like, yeah, the film addresses all of those things multiple times throughout, that it's an icky thing. It's not presenting this idea as like a wonderful idea. Hey, everybody should do this. This is great. Isn't this great? And it shows like the pain that it causes to everyone involved. But I think that Jennifer Lawrence's character is in such a desperate position that she doesn't see another way out, and I think
Yeah,
sometimes when we're desperate, we feel all the weight coming down on us, and we choose whatever the path of least resistance is, whatever we think will get us out of that situation, even if it's
yeah.
not desirable. That's the
Hmm.
path that we're going to take. And so, it's, I think every movie has a premise, and the movie gives us a setup, and then it says, okay, here's what the premise is, and now the premise starts. And sometimes the movie sticks that landing quite well, and sometimes it doesn't, but it's like, all right, we're just getting going, just suspend your disbelief for a little bit, and then once we're in it, we're in it. So for me, I felt that way a little bit about this. Like, I felt like the beginning was repeating a lot of the same things. I mean,
Hmm.
they say that they hate locals like 10 different times in 10 different
Yeah,
ways.
yeah, we do.
So, uh, so that part, I think that could have been tightened up and trimmed a little bit more. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. So, what did you think about Andrew Barth Feldman? Like his whole character, how he acted. What did you think?
I thought he embodied his character great. He was awkward, he was shy, he was, and then but throughout the film he changed, kind of like Jennifer uh opened him up, and then he kind of like realized life and grew up a bit more towards the end of the movie. So I liked his character development throughout. I thought he was hilarious as well. His when he started singing on
Yeah.
the piano blew me away. I didn't expect that. Well, but his character was great. He kind of delivered on what the character was supposed to be, and his chemistry with Jennifer Lawrence was good as well. Like they were odd, but they worked, and I think that's one of my favorite things about the movie.
Yeah, he really almost immediately you sympathize with him because you see like this little montage of he's wearing anime shirts and he's gaming online and he's sitting in his room completely alone, and I think the movie could have mocked him more for those things, but it doesn't do
Mm.
that. And I'm glad
No.
it doesn't do that because later on, when you get the reveal of why he wants to be alone all the time, this
Yes.
rumor was started about him because he would sleep in his parents' room sometimes. Now, that could be because his parents were encouraging that because they don't want him to grow up. That could be just because he hadn't grown up to that point. I mean, who knows, and who cares? But
Hmm.
you see how deeply that affected him. And if the movie had started out by just totally being like, this kid's a loser, I think a lot of that weight would have it would have felt betrayed a little bit when
Mm.
he does explain why he feels the way that he feels. That was
Yeah.
really devastating to me, and
Yeah.
I did not expect that at all.
Yeah. It kind of
it's
took
just
like
a
a dark,
comedy.
not yeah, not such a dark turn, but like a deep turn, which
Yeah.
kind of emphasizes the film meaning more. I mean, it's a comedy, but it has a lot of depth to it about growing and moving and learning and adapting and all that, and you kind of get that throughout that. I think that's where the movie kind of takes a turning point, and then you kind of realize that it's kind of more than just a comedy.
Yeah, and I think for her character, where this is just a means to an end to a car, which, quick note, that's the best car that they've got laying around. Like these people who are millionaires and like they've just
Rich.
I was like, I like I would have that car in my driveway. but but yeah, like she's seeing him as just a means to an end. And I think a little bit before that, but definitely during that moment is when she realizes like, oh, this is like a human, this is a person, and the weight of what she's doing and the precariousness of that situation, I think, kind of becomes more real to her. Yeah, so I wasn't expecting that, and I was glad that it was there. Like I was glad to see like, oh, this is more than just because I've seen this movie compared to, like you said, other like early 2000s raunchy comedies, and there are definitely elements of that. And I think the trailer would have led us to believe that that was most of what this movie was. But I didn't see it that way. Like by the time this movie ended, I really didn't see it that way. I think that this is a pretty high watermark for, this type of movie, because the sentimental moments aren't limited to, one teary conversation 85% of the way through the movie that then
Mm-hmm.
causes people to have a conflict that then resolves and then the movie's over. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we feel for both of them, I think, throughout the whole thing.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so before we go too far, we have to talk about the beach scene.
I it, I didn't know that was I yeah, I didn't know they were gonna go that far with it.
Yeah,
I did not I was stunned. But it was so good. It was so funny. So funny.
it was really, I was dying in the theater. I did not
Yes.
expect that. Um
Nope.
I saw some criticisms of it that were basically saying like, oh, this is not I think that people aren't used to seeing the female body as like a body that does things other than, to be looked at by men. And
Yes.
so some people were like, oh, this is not that attractive. And it's like, that's not what it's supposed to be. Like, that's not what's happening here. Like, this
No.
is 100% played for comedy. And I think it works really, really well. I mean,
Yes.
is it lowbrow to just say, like, hey, nudity's funny and we're going to have a
It,
full fight scene? Maybe. But
well,
Borat did the same thing like so many years
yes.
ago. There was that big naked fight scene
Yep.
throughout the whole hotel. Um, yeah, that once that part happened, I was like, okay, wow, like big kudos to Jennifer Lawrence, especially.
Absolutely. Like
I can't
she just went
imagine.
full. She just went all out. Like I was stunned, and then she went back into the water afterwards, like nothing even happened.
Yes, that was
It
when
just
she
went from
goes
zero
back in the
to a
water.
hundred, zero to a
Right.
hundred, and back down to zero, and it was just like, what just happened? I was dying also, and it was great though. Like she did really well. Like she
Yeah,
was
and
great in that part of the movie.
she gets back to him and he's like, "What happened?" She's like, "Nothing. It's fine. I got the clothes back."
Did you catch at the beginning of that scene? Sorry, when he they're going into the water, and then he says, "Isn't this how Jaws begins?"
Yes.
I laughed at that part as well. So I thought, oh, they're making fun of horror in a comedy because like, there's horror comedies, and I just thought that was really funny, like clever as well to kind of think of Jaws when you're going into the water when you shouldn't be going into the water. That
Right.
was a clever kind of pun, I guess.
I'm from Long Island where the movie takes place. I had no idea that this was about Long Island. This takes place way out east. So Long Island is 100 miles long. Okay. So if you live all the way out west towards the city, it's very congested, much smaller homes. And then the further east you get, going all the way out to Montauk, where they live, there's larger plots of land. The homes are much bigger. Everything's more spaced out because that's where the rich people are. That's where the rich people live. And to own a home out in Montauk, that is a reality that, you know, 99% of people will never experience. Recently, within the last couple of years, someone sold a trailer, a, a just a trail. I don't know what you call them there. A caravan?
Caravans. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I know that from
yeah. You got it.
Snatch. Yeah. Yes. Well, yeah, in Snatch, when Brad Pitt's character keeps saying, "I want to buy me mom a caravan," I was like, "What is what is he?" But I eventually got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they sell someone sold a trailer in real life for like over $1 million, just because the real estate out there is so tight and everything is bought up that if you sell anything, you're going to
Wow.
make tons and tons and tons of money, which is the whole premise of her story. Is she owns this house, it's paid for, but she can't afford to live there because the taxes are too high. So I was pretty surprised to see this was about Long Island. I didn't know that
Mhm.
it was. And so a lot of really little really, yeah, small details. I was like, oh, that's true. Oh, that's true. Like even the tow truck driver, when he says, I have a contract with the county. That's true. I had to get my car towed one time, and I was driving with the tow truck driver, and I was asking him how different things work, and he says, well, we have a contract with the county. So
Oh
it's
my
like,
God.
yeah, there's just a lot of little, and the whole idea of like tourism culture. The town that I grew up in, we have a ferry that comes from Connecticut, and so during the
Mhm.
summer, everyone from Connecticut, which is also pretty wealthy, they'll take the ferry over into the town, and it just becomes like swarmed. It's like you can't drive, you can't park down there, and then once fall and winter hit, you can kind of resume your normal life, and you don't have to like avoid that whole area because of the tourism. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I like really connected with in this. Did you have any favorite characters or favorite moments?
Oh, I loved both Jennifer Lawrence and Andrew. I loved them two so much. They were just great. Um, and my favorite moment, again, is like the horror part of it, because they were just making fun of it throughout. Is when she first goes to the dog shelter where he works,
Yes.
and she's following him, and you can see him park up his bike, and then all of a sudden Jennifer Lawrence just comes into view very sharply, but you see the back of her head, and it does like that kind of like horror kind of jingle
Right,
sound. I
right,
think
right.
that was my favorite. I think that was my favorite part, just because it was just kind of like weird and like
Yes.
not really what not really what I thought was going to happen. And then when she goes into there, and then she says, "Can I touch your wiener?" And then he's like,
Yeah.
"Huh?" And then she goes, and then she goes, "Your dog." And I was like, that was just hysterical, so good. That whole scene when she first meets him, I think was my favorite part because it was just so funny.
I was a big fan of the party when she's going through the party and she's trying to find him. She's supposed to be 32, I think. So a little
Yes.
bit younger than me, and she's hanging out with 18, 19-year-old kids. And it's just funny how like she doesn't fit into this world anymore. Like she's making comments and everyone's like, "Ooh, that's racist," or "Ooh, that's homophobic. What do you mean by that?" And she's like, "Wait, wait, wait." And then when she's looking through the rooms and she opens the door and she keeps saying, "Percy, Percy." And the kid goes, "Yeah." She's like, "Your name's Percy?" He's like, "Yeah." Which there's a very similar joke. I don't know if you've seen the US version of The Office.
No.
Okay, so so Gene Stupnitsky, who directed this movie, he also was a writer, and he directed a few episodes for the US Office. In fact, he played one of the delivery guys for Vance Refrigeration. There's an
Hmm.
episode called Frame Toby where Michael is looking to plant drugs in Toby's desk to get him arrested because he hates him so much. And he goes to the warehouse guys because he thinks, who do I know who would have drugs, right? And so Stupnitsky plays this character named Leo, and he sells him a caprese salad, and Michael doesn't know that that's not drugs. It's pretty great. But anyway, there's a joke in The Office where two characters are sitting in a car with their windows down and they're looking at something and they start saying Pam, 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 Pam. And a woman walking by says, "Yeah," and they're like, "What?" She's like, "You were saying Pam? That's me." And they're like, "Your name is Pam?" She's like, "Yeah." And I love that joke. And so I wonder if he had an influence in that and then sort of lifted it for this movie.
Kind of.
But even if he did, I don't care. It works equally as
Yeah.
well here. I
Yeah.
was also a really big fan of his coworker at the dog
Yeah.
adoption center. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
just pretty
Yeah.
odd. There's a moment where Percy and Maddie are in the back office and he's doing the interview. And then this guy walks in the door and he's wearing sunglasses and he just like whips them off. And he's like, "How's it going in here?"
Try to
We also,
seem way more cool than he
yes,
actually is.
exactly. Yeah. Wearing sunglasses inside that you weren't previously wearing and then whipping them off. It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty great. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, a lot of this movie, a lot of it works for me. There was, like I said, the beginning. I think I think if you tighten that up, we don't need so much repetition in getting to know the different characters, getting to know Maddie. I'm glad that we have the whole scene where she's talking about, who her dad is and why she doesn't know him. And it's basically he doesn't want to know her, but she has this letter. I was really glad when she just kind of threw it into the fire and was like,
Yeah.
"I'm done." Because
Yeah.
that could have gone several different ways that were maybe a little bit more sentimental and not
Yeah.
super realistic. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this really worked for me. I think it's good. I don't necessarily know that you need to see this in a theater. I saw it with a pretty big crowd yesterday. I was kind of surprised, honestly, at how many people were there because it's not opening
Same.
weekend. Yeah,
Same. A lot of people were in my screening as well.
yeah. I don't know how it went at your screening. I was laughing a lot at a lot of
I
things
think
that
I
were
was the only
happening.
one that laughed in mine. I think
Yes,
I was the
and
only one that laughed.
some of the bigger scenes, like the beach scene, the party scene, the scene where he's on the hood of the car completely naked. Some of those bigger scenes, they were getting a lot of laughs from the audience, but all of the little things, like the quiet jokes and the quiet humor, nobody was laughing but me, and I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm laughing through this whole movie.
I didn't care. I laughed probably like all the way through it. Just even at the mini things, the big things, all of it. I found a lot of entertainment through it, and I had a good time with it.
I think that if all you're looking for is the physical comedy or like the large set pieces, you will be disappointed throughout a lot of this movie.
Yeah.
But what's great is that it has the quiet comedy and it also has those outlandish. Like for me, honestly, some of the outlandish stuff, it was funny, it was crazy, but they weren't my favorite parts of the movie, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, did you have anything that we didn't mention that you wanted to mention? I know earlier you
Well,
were saying the scene where he's playing the piano.
yeah, I thought that scene was like beautiful. I think that scene was kind of unexpected. Like you didn't really expect a big music number in the middle of it, but it was nice. I think he got a bit. I think he his character then got time to shine. Kind of time to show off of what he can do and things. I thought it was really nice, especially the song as well. I'm a huge fan of that song.
Yeah, it was. If you look up on the nose in the dictionary, that scene might be there. But I thought it was well done. Um, Matthew Broderick is in this movie, and I don't want to say he's completely unrecognizable, but He's definitely doing a
Different.
character.
He's different. Yeah.
Yeah, layered with the all cream tones and grays and browns, and that
And
was
the
pretty.
mullet. It looked like
Yes,
he was wearing a mullet.
yeah, it was pretty interesting. Yeah, I
Yes.
really like that. Anyway, did you have anything else that we didn't talk about?
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask, did you know about the throat punching scene? That
No,
Jennifer was actually punched in the throat. Like, that wasn't fake. Like, she was actually punched in the throat. And the
seriously?
scene, yeah, the scene worked so well as well, I thought, because it just carried on filming. It was just really great.
Oh man.
Yeah, she was actually punched. And the whole shelf scene, that took two takes because there was only the one shelf. And it's kind of like, not really put on the wall. So they had to really try and nail that scene. So I think it all did really well with the throat punch and then the shelf. It was just really great altogether. I think that's probably my second favorite moment in the film.
Yes, that's great when he he's like, take your hands off of her, and then waits like several beats. That the whole thing with
Completely
him throwing
misses.
up and being like, I didn't know that you couldn't
No,
drink with ibuprofen.
we're thinking that he took something else. It was just an ibuprofen.
Right, right.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks, Shauna.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I know that you listened to some of the episodes. Was it weird to like be part of an episode?
This feels absolutely surreal. Like, I'm pretty sure people will notice my name, I guess, because obviously I've put some comments through on some of your films. So now people can put a face to the name.
Right.
So it feels
Yeah.
weird. So hi people.
When I tell Michelle, I'm gonna be like, I talked to Shauna. She's gonna be like, what?
Yes, tell Michelle I
So,
said hi.
so Shauna, where can people find you, follow you?
Well, as Twitter is currently dying, unfortunately, I am at Cinema at Screams on Twitter if you would like to follow me there. I am also Sparky About Movies on Instagram and YouTube, of which I am trying to get back into filming for. Can't wait. So, yeah, if anybody is interested in film reviews, you can catch me over there.
Well, hey, thank you for watching. Be sure to check us out at moviefriendspodcast.com. You can also find us on all social media, Movie Friends Podcast, and send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. And of course, you can listen to us on all podcast platforms. Thank you very much, Shauna.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you for listening.